4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is recording. Please stand by. Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Studio Classroom. Your English will improve today. My name is Carolyn. Do you think that friends are important? If you do, what do you do to show your friends that you care about them? There are many things we can do. We can send them messages, treat them to lunch, express our happiness when we see them, and much more. Today, we're continuing our lesson, The Value of Friendship. One of our teachers here at Studio Classroom, Brandon, writes about his experience as a shy boy who had a hard time making friends. How does he feel about his friendships now? Let's look at the first reading for our lesson and find out.
The value of friendship. I've come a long way from being an extremely shy boy who refused to forge new relationships. Don't get me wrong. On occasion, I still feel the tendency to be shy or wary of meeting people. But it's in these moments I remember how blessed I am by the friends that God has brought into my life. I remember that people are a gift. They are certainly not something to take for granted. We need people to pour into our lives, and we need to pour into the lives of others. But how is this possible? Well, it starts by treating others the way you would like to be treated. The golden rule.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. Welcome to today's language lab. 首先我们看 forge 这个动词 forge 在这里是指努力的形成或创造。例如 The two women forged a close relationship after each went through a divorce. 这两位女性在彼此都经历离婚后建立了深厚的情谊。或者是 The entertainer forged a successful career in acting. 这位艺人在演艺事业上创造佳绩。forge 也指伪造。例如 The suspect escaped the country by using a forged passport. 这名嫌疑犯用伪造的护照潜逃出国。接下来我们看的是 Don't get me wrong 这个常用语。Don't get me wrong 是指别误会。例如 Don't get me wrong, I love to go to the party, but I have a doctor's appointment that day. 别误会，我很想参加这个派对，但是我当天要看医生。或者是 Don't get me wrong, Alicia is a wonderful friend, but I can't stand her sometimes. 不要误会 Alicia 是一个很棒的朋友，只是我有时候受不了她。或者是 Don't get me wrong, I like spicy food, but this is too spicy for me. 别误会，我喜欢辛辣的食物，但这实在是太辣了。
Thank you so much, Michelle. Well, friends, you may notice something a little bit different about the studio today. That's right, we have today's author, the author of our lesson, Brandon Bryant, joining us today. Thanks for being here, Brandon.
It's great to be here, Carolyn, and I really enjoyed writing this article. It's about an important topic. I mean, what would we do without friends, right?
You're exactly right. The value of friendship. Now, friends, you've seen Brandon before in the SC Challenge many times if you've been a student here for a long time. But Brandon, where else could we see you or at least hear your voice here at Studio Classroom?
Yeah, that's right. Maybe some of you listen to Advanced Studio Classroom on the radio. You can check that out. Also, maybe you read Advanced Magazine.
That's right, friends. We should take some time to say something about advanced right now in Chinese. That is 彭猛会英语. If you are up for a challenge and you've been reading Studio Classroom for a while, maybe it is time for you to check out advanced. And then Brandon will be your new teacher.
There you go.
Not a bad idea. Well, thank you, Brandon, for being here. And we're reading what you wrote in our lesson today. We see that you wrote, I've come a long way from being an extremely shy boy who refused to forge new relationships. And I wanted to ask you, what do you mean when you say that you came a long way?
Yes, well, I'm not talking about distance, right?
Right.
Definitely talking about I was once very shy, but now I'm not as shy. So in a sense, that's kind of like distance. I started at this point in life, and now I'm at a different point.
All right, so friends, think of another way to use that phrase when you come a long way from one place to another. I've come a long way from being an extremely shy boy who refused to forge new relationships. And then you wrote, don't get me wrong, on occasion I will still feel the tendency to be shy or wary of meeting people. What did you mean by don't get me wrong, first of all?
Well, that's a phrase you use sometimes to clarify something. So I'm saying, yeah, I am still shy sometimes, so I don't want you to get the wrong idea thinking I'm not that shy at all. I still am a bit shy, but not as much as before.
Right, so don't misunderstand Brandon. Sometimes he still is a little bit shy. But we have to take some time to take a look at a few words here in this sentence, okay? One is the word tendency. Now, a tendency is a way that is natural for somebody to do something.
Or something that they do often. For example, my friend has a tendency of being late. She tends to be late.
I'm glad you used that phrase. Okay, so tendency is a noun. Tend to, that word tend could become a verb, right? Someone tends to do something. Well, Brandon, would you say that you tend to be shy sometimes of meeting people?
That's right. Sometimes I don't like large groups because I don't want to meet a lot of people.
Okay, and you use the word wary here. Now, the word wary means cautious. Perhaps someone is afraid of a danger of some kind or getting hurt. They would use the word wary.
Sure, maybe you've had some kind of bad experience, so you're a little cautious. For example, he was very wary of his friend's cat after being scratched.
That's a great example. Well, you keep talking about this idea of being shy. You've mentioned it twice here in this lesson today. Brandon, I just wanted to ask you, is being shy a bad thing? I'm an outgoing person, probably the most outgoing in this room, but I've never thought of being shy as a bad thing.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think I personally look at it as something that has hindered me, and I think being shy can keep you from forming the kind of relationships you would like. I think it really depends on each person. They can decide that for themselves, but being shy can kind of keep you from maybe speaking out when you would like to.
Okay, well, thanks for clarifying that. And friends, of course, being shy is not a bad character trait. But as Brandon said, perhaps if you are a really shy person, there are some things you need to do to break through so that you could perhaps do more, as we learned about yesterday. To come out of your shell could really help you in life.
That's right, and Brandon continues to write in our lesson, but it's in these moments I remember how blessed I am by the friends that God has brought into my life. I remember that people are a gift, and that's really important. They are not something to take for granted.
That's right. That's a phrase we learned yesterday, to take something for granted. Certainly not something to take for granted. We need people to pour into our lives. And I like that you used that phrase, to pour into. It's kind of a picture of something. It's kind of a picture that I get of pouring some water into a cup or something, right? It means you're investing in something. You're giving effort, money, or something else to help somebody when you pour into their life.
That's very true. And taking time to pour into someone's life can make a big difference.
It really can make a big difference. So you think of pouring water into a glass, right? It's empty and you're pouring something into it. Well, we can do that for other people. We can kind of speak life into them and and remind them of the good things that are already inside and try to bring those out.
That's right, to bring the best out of people. That's a great phrase, too. Brandon, you mentioned the golden rule here, okay? At the very end of this section, friends, the golden rule, what is that? Could you put it into your own words?
Well, right. It's like treat people in the way that you would like to be treated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so think about that when you're around other people. What would they want? Or, what would you want in that situation? Well, treat them in that way, right? And so that's a good thing to remember always.
Some people phrase it, do unto others what you would have them do unto you. That's the idea. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Friends, right now it is time for us to go to
The Info Cloud.
Nice. Got it.
Today on InfoCloud, I'd like to give all our viewers a bit of advice. It's easy to get discouraged, but when things are difficult, remember to count your blessings.
I try to remember that myself when I'm feeling a bit down. It's easy to focus on the negative when things go wrong.
That's exactly what this expression is implying. It is important to focus on the good things in your life.
The literal meaning of this would be something like, count all the good things in your life or all the ways that you have been blessed.
When you stop and think about it, we often don't think about the good things until they are gone.
For example, if you're in good health, you really don't think about that as a blessing until something happens and you have to struggle with an illness.
But it's okay to think about the obvious good things in your life. I'm always thankful for my family and the positive work environment here.
Thanks for the reminder, Rex. I'm also very thankful for everyone who works together here at InfoCloud. Blessings counted.
当你遇到困难或是挫折的时候，记得今天跟大家分享的这一句用语 "Count your blessings"， 数算你的祝福。这句话是用来提醒人们去想想生命当中一些被视为理所当然的祝福，像是个人的健康、美满的家庭等等，这些都是我们在生命中会得到的祝福。如果你看到一些正在低潮当中的朋友，想要鼓励他们振作，你就可以说 Remember to count your blessings， 记得去数算你生命中的一些祝福，往好的方面去想吧。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Studio Classroom. Today we are looking at our lesson, The Value of Friendship. And this is a very special lesson because it is a personal story by one of our teachers here at Studio Classroom, our teacher, Brandon. And he's learned a lot about the value of friendship. He's learned that people should not be taken for granted. Let's continue learning some of the lessons that Brandon has learned and is sharing with us today with our next reading.
The value of friendship. That means loving people where they are, accepting them, and including them. And it means speaking the truth, even if there are consequences when we do. There's a proverb that says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." This is a great mantra for friendships. Through our interactions with friends, we should be sharpening one another, making each of us better people. I'm so thankful that when I descended onto that college campus, friends chose to be hospitable, to invest in me, and show love. As a result, I now better understand the value of friendship.
Alright， 继续我们看 sharpen 这个动词，我们看到这个字里面有 sharp。 锐利的这个形容词。en 这个字尾有使如何如何的意思，所以 sharpen 就是指使变尖锐或者是使锐利。例如 sharpening all his pencils before school became a ritual for Isaac， 把所有铅笔都削好变成 Isaac 上学前的一个例行公事。Sharpen 也指改善或提高，例如 Angela took the course to sharpen her writing skills。Angela 修这门课来提升自己的写作能力。或者是 working in the customer service department really sharpened my communication skills。我在客服部工作真的加强了我的沟通技巧。所以我们看 descend 这个动词 ，de 这个字首是指向下 ，scend 这个字根有爬的意思，所以 descend 是指走下或降下。例如 these mountaineers started to descend from the mountain top at around 1 p.m. 这些登山者大约下午1点开始从山顶往下走，或者是 The captain announced that the aircraft will start descending in 15 minutes. 机长宣布飞机将在15分钟后开始下降。如果把字首的 de 改成 a 的话 ，ascend 是指上升或攀爬。例如 The girl began to feel dizzy while ascending the hill. 这个女孩在山丘上往上爬的时候开始感到头晕。And now let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Well, friends, let's keep learning with our lesson and with the author, Brandon, here, who is joining us today. We read, that means loving people where they are, accepting them, and including them. And Brandon, I really like this phrase that you used, loving people where they are. Can you explain this idea to us?
Yeah, I think simply it just means accepting people, right? Where they're at. Maybe they're going through some difficulties. Maybe they need to grow a lot, but you just love them where they are at in life.
That's right. Perhaps you don't even agree with some of their decisions or what they're doing, but you can still find a way to love them and show that you care about them and what they're going through.
Sure. So, for example, maybe you do know someone who's made some mistakes, or maybe they're difficult to get along with. You might give some advice. I know she can be mean, but it's important to love people where they are and try to help them become better.
And I think one way that can help us to love people where they're at is when we remember that we're not perfect and that God loves us where we are at as well. He's always working on us and making us more and more perfect, but we're not yet. And so He loves us where we're at. That should help us to love others where they're at.
That's right. And where we are at, where they are at, is not a physical place. It's talking about this journey we go on through life, where we are at in our life's journey.
That's right, that process. So I love that you use that phrase, Brandon, loving people where they are, accepting them, including them, and it means speaking the truth even if there are consequences when we do. Has that always been easy?
No, it's not easy to speak the truth because we use that word consequence there, because sometimes you speak the truth and people don't want to accept that, and that can be hard in relationships.
That's right. Sometimes it's difficult to hear the truth from other people. That's why it's important for us to speak the truth in love. Well, how does our lesson continue?
We read, there's a proverb that says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And you describe this as a proverb.
Yeah, that's right. It is a wise saying. It actually comes from the Bible.
That's right. There's a book in the Bible, or a group of sayings called the Proverbs in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. Now, a proverb is, like Brandon said, it's a wise saying. It's usually a short saying. It's meant to communicate a general or a useful truth.
And the Bible does contain a lot of proverbs like this one. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. But how do you sharpen a person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like this imagery, right? First of all, how does iron sharpen each other?
Right. They rub against each other and they sharpen each other, right? And people can do that, right? And when we speak the truth to each other, that's a way of sharpening you. Maybe I see something in your life, I'm like, hey, Gabe, that wasn't a wise decision, right? And that's a way of sharpening you, so to speak.
That's right. So the idea, friends, that you could probably guess is that it doesn't always feel good to be sharpened by your friends, but it is a good thing in the end to be a sharper person, to be sharpened by each other.
That's right. And we continue reading right here that this is a great mantra for friendships. Through our interactions with friends, we should be sharpening one another, making each of us better people.
That's right. So Brandon continues, I'm so thankful that when I descended onto that college campus, that friends chose to be hospitable, to invest in me and show love. Now, there are different ways to show love to people. One way is to be hospitable. We want to talk about that word. If you're hospitable, that means you are generously welcoming and receiving and accepting of people.
That's right. Maybe you know someone who is very hospitable. Maybe there's a lady down the street who is always welcoming people to come to her house for dinner. She's very hospitable.
We read here, as a result, I now better understand the value of friendship. Brandon, thank you for joining us for our lesson today.
Thank you for having me. It's been great being here.
And friends, if you do want a challenge, remember to go to check out Advanced 彭蒙会英语 that is on the radio. You can see Teacher Brandon there or hear his voice. Right now it's time for
a review skit.
Do you ever take friendship for granted?
No, never actually. Growing up, I was shy and didn't have many friends.
Really? Why not?
In junior high school, I transitioned from a small private school to a much larger public school.
How did that go?
It proved to be a monumental change. I was outnumbered in a sea of strangers.
A sea of strangers?
Well, I had some church friends, you know, but basically at school, I was a loner.
That's sad.
Yeah, very sad. But after graduating high school, I moved away to attend university.
Another big change.
Yes, a pivotal point in my life, in more ways than one.
Why is that?
Well, for the first time, I started to come out of my shell.
Ah, more confident, more friendly.
Yeah, a contributing factor was my new environment.
What do you mean?
Well, I was surrounded by my peers. I felt accepted, included, and even wanted.
What a great feeling.
Yeah, it was a new era for me, relationally speaking.
How special.
Yeah, I treasure that time because of all the tremendous people that I met.
You've come a long way.
Yes, from a shy boy who refused to forge new relationships
To a confident and outgoing person.
Right. But don't get me wrong. You know, on occasion, I have a tendency to be shy.
Oh. And then?
Well, I remember that I'm blessed by friendship, truly a gift from God.
And not something to take for granted.
Exactly. Friends pour into us, we pour into them.
By treating them the way we want to be treated, right?
The golden rule.
Show love and understand the value of friendship.
Exactly. And don't take friendship for granted. Smile.
We've looked at some very interesting phrases today in our lesson on the value of friendship. One of them is to pour into someone, to pour into someone's life. Can you think of anyone whose life might benefit from you pouring into them? Or perhaps someone has poured into your life. Another great phrase was that we should love people where they are. This might not be easy at first, but I'm sure if you practice and just try to understand and love people the way that they are now, it will become easier for you as you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to join us next time right here on Studio Classroom.